Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
Really?
Morning.
Okay, let's do an Iowa nice good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
That's much better. Okay, so you'll notice I have some amazing folks behind me, and I've asked them to come up while I was sharing some information with you this morning to kick off the conference, because I think there's no better way to kick off the work that we're going to do over the next 2 days than to keep these faces in our minds as we think about all the things we're learning and all the work we're going to do back in our schools on behalf of all of our students across the state of Iowa. So I have the pleasure of welcoming everyone to the 30th Annual Iowa Culture and Language Conference. I'm really honored to be able to give the call to conference and to welcome everyone and set the stage for our learning together. However, I've been given very specific instructions from the planning committee to follow the cardinal rule of public speaking. I'm supposed to be brief, brilliant, and gone. So I'm going to date myself when I quote one of my favorite bands and confess that 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Anyone else who remembers Meatloaf?
Oh yeah, I'm afraid so.
So yeah, I'm not going to quit my day job and go to stand-up comedy. We're all good. So I do promise to be brief, and then I will leave the stage and I'll be gone. But I will let you be the judge of whether or not what I have to say is brilliant. A few quick introductions to honor the tradition of the ESL statewide professional learning events. It wouldn't be the same if I didn't introduce all of you, right? And we have a special way in Iowa of doing that. So let's show anyone who's not from Iowa how we do this at ICLC. So when I call your stakeholder title, you're going to stand up and shout, "That's me." So if you've been here for the last couple of years, you know how this goes, and you know that if you don't do a good job, that we'll repeat it and we'll practice more and more until we're proficient, okay? So let's just get this right the first time. When I call your stakeholder title, stand up and shout, "That's me." So if you're a district level administrator, would you please stand and yell, "That's me"?
That's
me.
Awesome, thank you so much. If you're a building level administrator, stand up and shout, "That's me." Awesome. Let's give these guys a big round of applause. Thanks to all of our administrators. I know without their leadership, our work would be completely impossible. Thanks to all of our administrators, district and building level. If you are a Department of Education or an AEA representative, would you please stand up and shout, "That's me"?
That's me.
Let's give these folks a big round of applause. If you are a general education classroom teacher, please stand up and yell, "That's me." We all have our students more waking hours than most of our parents, so thank you so much for what you guys do. If you're an ELL teacher in charge of delivering and supporting the week, would you please stand and yell, "That's me"? If you're a support staff member, someone who supports the day-to-day operations of the school and what's going on with our students behind us, would you please stand and yell, "That's me"? Support staff. Anyone that's ever worked in any organization knows that the real power lies in those folks right there, right? Absolutely. So if you're a parent of a student who's either an English language learner or other, if you're a parent, please stand and yell, "That's me". That's me.
That's me.
Don't tell me that you have children. Are you serious? Let's try this again. If you're a parent of a student who's either a student up here or otherwise, please stand and yell, "That's me".
That's me.
That's me. Awesome. And without the parents out there who are advocating for not only their individual students but all students, it'd be really hard to do our work. So we need the support of all of our parents in our schools. So students, if you're a student, either college, high school, elementary, whatever student age you represent, if you're a college-age student and you're in higher education getting into university, so if you are a student of any way, of any type, please stand and shout, "That's me".
That's me.
So without our students, we're coming together collectively, individually, or otherwise to do the work that we do every day. So thank you to all of our students for coming, representing the conference, being the face and the voice of all of our Iowa students, and even larger, the students across the nation. So as I thought about what I would say this morning, and I realized I had to be very brief and very brilliant and very gone, I was wondering what I could share that would potentially set the stage for the 2 days of professional learning that we're going to embark in together over the next 2 days. And how many of you would agree with the old adage that a picture is worth 1,000 words? Awesome. So instead of me sitting up here and delivering 1,000 words, I want to show you a picture. So this picture, and I know it might be hard to see, but if you can get a visual of what's up on the screen, I'm going to give you a little context. classroom visits outside the state of Iowa, so this is not an Iowa student, and we won't name the school, we won't mention it, we won't identify any of the information in this picture. But I was walking through a building, and this building is a Blue Ribbon 2014 Blue Ribbon school. They have a lot of amazing things going on in the school, and I was there visiting with a group of principals, and we were walking through classrooms, and this is a 4th grade classroom. And I want you to take note of what is happening. How many of you recognize those folders? Remember the old spelling test where we did our work and we put up our little secret cubicle area? So they were taking a spelling test in this classroom, and this is a 4th grade classroom. And this little boy, if you notice in the top left-hand corner, this is Rufino. And Rufino was in 4th grade in October 23rd of this last year, so 3 weeks ago. I was visiting his classroom. What do you notice in this picture? So turn your neighbor just really quick. What do you notice? This is a 4th grader taking a spelling test. So I'll give you just 2 minutes to discuss the shoulder part of what do you notice in the picture.
I can't hide it.
It's like he's just writing random letters. It's hard to see.
So I hope you noticed what I noticed in this picture when I stood beside his desk and I watched this little boy struggle through the spelling test very compliantly. Every time the teacher read a word aloud, read it in a sentence, he did his best. He put something down on paper. This child's in 4th grade, and he doesn't have first letter sound correspondence. And as I stood there and I watched him, my heart broke. I mean, literally my heart broke. I wanted to take this little boy back to Iowa with me, and I'll share in a minute why I wanted to bring him back home. But this is a school that has Blue Ribbon status. They have a lot of amazing things going on. He may be the only child in that building that's struggling the way he's struggling. But if you're the superintendent in that district, what do you think when you see this picture? What is your individual responsibility to address what you see in this picture, if you're the superintendent? What if you're the building principal? What do you think when you see this picture? What do you think is your individual responsibility to address what you see here? Now, if you're the classroom teacher, you're looking over his shoulder, what do you see? And what do you think is your individual responsibility? If you're the student's parents, how do you feel about what's going on in the school? If I were Rufino, so I'm going to just give you a little bit of my perspective. As I sat there and I watched him, I put myself in the child's shoes and I sat down in his seat and then I thought, what would I say to the superintendent? What message would I deliver? I would say, please, superintendent and school board, look at the system and please find all of the cracks that I've fallen through from kindergarten to 3rd grade. And now that I'm sitting in 4th grade, would you please fill those cracks before I get to 5th grade? What would I say to the building principal? I would say, would you please spend enough time in all of my teachers' classrooms so that you get to know me well enough that you walk up and you see this work and you're alarmed. And you say, oh my goodness, maybe it's your first year in my building, maybe it's the first 3 weeks of school, but I'm alarmed and I'm going to do something about this because I know you as a student and I know your teacher and I know we can be better by you. If you're the classroom teacher, what would I say to you? I'd say, please don't feel sorry for me. Please don't dumb down my work. Please have high expectations. Please help everyone else in the district know that English language learning and ELD and special education are not an either or, it's a both, and I might need some help. So please advocate for that for me. What if I was the lead teacher? What if I was an ESL certified teacher? I would say, please help everyone understand that I have very specific needs and that everyone is responsible for meeting those needs. And then what would I say to my parents if I were Rufino? I would say, Mom and Dad, I know you're really uncomfortable going into school because you don't speak the language. But please ask that nice woman in church who's bilingual to go with you and help with the conversation. And then I want to ask you, what do you think Rufino's going to think when he's 20 years old? What would Rufino say to all of us when he's 20? And I share this story with you because I want us to think about a continued commitment. In Iowa, we have so many amazing things going on. And I share this because I think in all the amazing work that's going on in Iowa, that's why I wanted to bring him back. even across the country, amidst all of the awards and recognition and honoring all the bright spots and all the work that's going on across the state, we have pockets of excellence in every one of our schools in Iowa. But we must keep in perspective the continuous improvement, and amidst a growth mindset, we need to continue to work to do more and to do better. You all exemplify these principles. Just by virtue that you're here, you're giving up 2 days of classroom instruction in your buildings and in your communities and working with students to be here to learn together collectively and individually. And you are the champions that you all work in Iowa. And so I wanted to bring Rufino back because I know that in Iowa, we have enough amazing and talented educators to get Rufino back on track. And I know that over the next 2 days that you're going to add even more tools and resources to the toolkit to get the job done. And I do just want to ask you to please not misrepresent my message this morning. I'm not saying don't stop and celebrate the great things, and I'm definitely not saying don't recognize our accomplishments. We need to do that. We work really hard and we need time to celebrate. Not only individually, but collectively with our colleagues. But what I'm asking you is celebrate, but don't unpack and stay there. Don't live there. We need to keep moving and keep pushing. And I do think that you have all the resources that you need, and you'll have more to get the job done. And I do think that our first keynote speaker today is going to add to not only our individual but collective ability to be champions for all of our students in Iowa and specifically for our English language learners. So without further ado, I want to introduce one of our students who's going to introduce Dr. Kate Sella. So thank you so much for everything you do on behalf of all of Iowa kids.